Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And you know the drill. It's Thursday, so we're telling your stories.
Yes, we are.
This episode ended up having a little bit of a theme.
Oh.
It was totally unintended because I was just taking stories from the bottom of the stack. I want you to tell me if you know the theme today by the end.
Oh, okay.
And you
by
can make
the
your
end?
guesses. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Is
think-
it obscure?
No.
Or? Oh.
Maybe it's not a theme, but there is a common thing that happens in most of these stories.
Okay, well, I am sat.
And it was almost funny. By the
Oh.
time I got to the end, I was like, what? Because it was totally coincidence. Yeah.
Jinx.
Our tea today is Harney and Sons Gingerbread Festival. We've had this one before.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot. I think you said it was okay.
Yeah, I don't really remember, but let's go. If I could taste the tea, I would tell you, but I just burned my lips off, so
It was really hot, but
we're off to a good start.
good and festive.
I just straight dumped it on my face. I don't know how.
Sorry. It is really hot though. I'm sure did that hurt?
A lot. My lip is numb.
Oh, okay.
good.
Well, we'll see if it has a blister by the end of the
My
episode.
God, imagine.
So our first story comes from Aster. Hello, so I'm a very logical person, full-on STEM major for meteorology, and I was an astrophysics major before that.
What a cool person. Already.
I agree.
I'm impressed.
I read that immediately. I was like, I wish I were you.
Dude, I know. I wish I was cooler.
I don't believe in ghosts, and I still think it could be explained, but I just don't have an explanation. The first was a family trip. I was in 9th grade or so, traveling with a large group of my family. We were staying in an Airbnb, and I had been relegated to the couch. I was the only one out there, but the main bathroom was right across from me. There were 5 adults, myself, and 2 infants, so that bathroom was very popular. Every night, I would wake up to someone using the bathroom, which was already kind of weird because I have slept through literal tornado sirens before. At least once every night, I'd wake up to hear someone walking to the bathroom, but the light would never turn on and the door wouldn't close. Then, on our final night there, I woke up to the walking, but instead of going to the bathroom, the footsteps walked over to where I was sleeping, a pull-out couch mattress,
No.
and sat on the edge. I was facing away and I was absolutely terrified. I remembered feeling the weight of them on the bed, and I almost felt like I could hear them breathing. I still have no idea what that was from.
Did you ever ask or say like, hey, that was you, right, guys?
Did anyone come? Well, I assume if they are looking for a logical explanation.
I don't know. And it is weird that you woke up every night because I relate, like sleeping through anything. I can sleep through anything. I don't have to turn the lights off. I don't have to turn the music down, the TV. I can just fall asleep. I would be scared. Waking up, just waking up at night. Like if my sleep is disturbed, I'm
Already on
alert.
edge.
Mhm.
Yeah. That would be the first thing I would do though, is ask everyone, like, did you go to the bathroom? Did you come sit on the edge of my bed and watch me sleep? Like,
and if I was one of the adults, I'd be like, yes.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then quietly
And
scream.
they'd be like,
The next story was from my senior year of high school. I'd graduated and my mom and I had gone to Kentucky for a senior trip. I'd wanted to go to Waverly Hills because I was a big BuzzFeed Unsolved fan. So we went to their overnight tour. That's on our list, by the way.
really?
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Waverly Hills. I got there feeling fine after having eaten one of those microwave Chef Boyardee ravioli cans, and we went in. There was this big group of people, and we followed the guide as he walked us through the halls. Then we get down to the body chute, and as we're standing on the side of it, I start feeling really sick. To the point I threw up on the ground about 3 times in quick succession, but there wasn't any actual vomit, just clear stomach acid.
Oh my God.
Which was weird since I'd eaten only 30 minutes or so before. I was taken with my mom to the gift shop area where they sat me down and helped me feel better. Before I realized I wasn't nauseous anymore. They gave me some food and we went back in. But when they opened the door to let us back in, I started to get sick. We were sent home that night and I still have no idea why that happened. Really love your show. Bye, Aster.
Okay, I don't know anything about the Waverly Hills.
It's a sanatorium.
Oh.
Or it was.
Oh no.
Very dark stories behind that one. We'll get to it. Well, it's
That-
on the list.
Makes me uneasy.
But the fact that they had a physical reaction like that, just to become physically ill
Mm-hmm. And where were
every time they went back in.
This is really gross, but where was the food?
Yeah, I don't know.
That just feels really scary. I don't
Feels
like it.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Thank you, Aster, for sending that story in. And I might move Waverly Hills up a little further in our list.
I'm excited.
Our next story is from Amanda. Hi, my name is Amanda.
I'm
and
Amanda. I'm 6. I can't hear that name anymore.
without that. And I love y'all's podcast. Great way to spend my crochet time or when I'm folding laundry. I have 2 stories for y'all, and these stories are what made me believe in ghosts.
I love how everybody that listens to us crochets. It's like 80% of the population of our show.
I know, I love it.
It's really cute. I need to get into crocheting.
Okay, actually, this was a really scary one. So, would you like to save the scary for the end, or would you like to keep it in the beginning? I mean, the rest are still a little spooky, but they're not as scary as this one, in my opinion.
Give me the scariest at the end. It's not really late right now.
All right, sorry, Amanda. We're saving you for last. Instead, we're going to Kayla.
Not our sister.
But not our Kayla, no. Hi, Kayla, if you're out there. Hey, so I have a story for you guys. It started back in 2015. I was visiting my aunt and uncle. The house they lived in was their childhood home and used to belong to my grandparents, who unfortunately are no longer with us. Anyway, my aunt was working third shift, so she let me sleep in her room. I knew my uncle was fast asleep in his room, and I decided it was time for me to get some sleep. I was almost asleep when I suddenly got very cold. I was literally shivering, and for a brief moment, I thought I might have kicked the blanket off of me. I then realized that the blanket was still over me, but before I could do anything, I felt arms wrap around me as if someone were hugging me. The feeling didn't last long, maybe a few seconds, and then everything was warm again. I told my mom about it, and she believes that it might have been one of my grandparents. Though I will say there is something up with that house as well. At night, you can hear what sounds like footsteps coming up the stairs, and sometimes you feel like someone else is there with you, even though you're completely alone. This has happened ever since my mom was a kid.
You know, at first I was scared, and then I remembered it was the grandparents' house, and I was like, oh, okay.
If it is the grandparents,
fine.
Sort of fine. But like, can you do this not in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping?
That's a good point. I don't know, but to
Show
me
me
it feels...
your love another way, maybe. Sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah. I agree.
Our next story comes from Dawn. I have always been interested in the paranormal, and the paranormal has always been interested in me.
Oh.
I
don't like that. I don't like that. Opening sentence.
I have had crazy experiences while my mom, sister, and I were living in an apartment complex built on a Native American burial ground, and I remember them like they happened yesterday. While living in the apartment, I was always a light sleeper, in case my sister needed me.
Aww.
One night, I was asleep, and I woke up to my bedroom door being opened, and I remember seeing the hallway light, then my door being closed again. Thinking it was my little sister, I said, "Hey kiddo, are you okay?" And when I looked, it was a girl around 8 or 9 with long pigtail braids. My sister was 6 at the time and had shoulder-length hair, but I still wasn't thinking, and out of the blue, the little girl walked over to my bed, put her finger to her lips and whispered, "Shh, we're playing hide and seek. Don't tell them where I am."
No.
And she proceeded to walk into my closet, and that was the first and last time I ever saw her.
Oh my god.
Why is it always the closet, though?
Why do we have to do whispering and hiding? I want to believe that it was lighthearted and she was playing with another kid.
So, in my mind, it's either residual, but would residual talk to them?
I don't know.
Or there are other spirits in there that she's playing hide and seek with. And who? Who are they?
Or she is hiding from a bad person and is like just turning it into a game. Yeah, don't tell them where I am.
Ew, I hate that.
I do too. But that's where I went in my brain.
That sounds like a horror movie scene.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for frightening us, Dawn.
We've had several stories that I feel like need to be turned into movies.
I agree.
Several.
Yes.
Someone write that down.
Our next story comes from Sasha.
Oh, I love that name.
I know you do.
I always have.
Hi, my name is Sasha, and I've just started watching you guys a few weeks ago. I really love your videos. I listen to them religiously at work. I write to you because I have 2 little paranormal events that happened to me that I'd like to share. I have more, but these 2 really messed with my head. The first one takes place when I was about 13, 14 years old. My childhood best friend and I were already into paranormal stuff at that age, especially her. One evening, while we were sitting in my room, we had the idea to make our own Ouija board and try to communicate with spirits. Deep down, both of us thought that nothing would happen since it was handmade, but boy, were we wrong.
Oh no.
Grabbing a piece of paper, we scribbled down a makeshift Ouija board and a cap as the planchette. Around that time, one of my great uncles had passed away, and I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to test out our board. We placed our fingers on the cap, closed our eyes, and asked my great uncle for an answer. But nothing happened. We laughed at our little paranormal project and threw the paper away. About 5 to 10 minutes later, she and I were talking on my bed when the door ever so slowly opened. I didn't think much of it because even if the door was closed properly, you could open it just by pushing on it. And at the time, I had a massive Himalayan cat that used to do exactly that to enter my room. However, he didn't come in. I got up and opened the door to look around for him, but he was nowhere to be found. I closed the door once more and went back to my bed, figuring he had gone back downstairs. Not even a minute later, the door burst open, causing my friend and I to jump and stare at the door in disbelief. When we tried to go check, the door slammed back shut, opened up halfway again, then closed once more, at a speed only someone holding the doorknob could produce. However, there was no one there, as we could clearly see in the hallway when the door opened. We screamed our lungs out and ran downstairs to my mother for protection. It was the only time that something like that ever happened in my room. We were scared to death.
That's why you don't play with Ouija boards.
Mm-mm.
We've said it. What? That episode was early.
Episode number 2, I think.
Yeah. Don't do it. Just don't.
Better safe than sorry.
I agree.
You may have a wonderful experience, but you may not.
But who knows?
And I would rather not risk it.
Same.
The second story happened before the first one. This is actually the first time I've shared this story, as it has marked me to this day, 12 years later. The details are a little vague about this one, which is surprising because I have a very good memory of my childhood. I was around 11 or 12 years old at the time. Back then, I suffered from massive separation anxiety from my mother and had to sleep in her bed a few nights a week to calm it down. The way that my mother's bed was placed, I could see the stairway that led downstairs to the first floor. One night, I remember feeling very uneasy. I was tossing and turning, unable to fall into a deep sleep, as I was trying not to wake my mother sleeping beside me. My eyes had been closed this whole time when a huge chill ran over my body. It was like my brain knew where to look, because when I opened my eyes, I saw him.
No.
It was a very young boy, very pale skin, black grayish hair, and fully black eyes with no pupils. He was dressed in pale gray attire and was staring at me. He was holding onto the stairway ramp on the second landing, positioned exactly between 2 bars so I could see his face clearly. My blood ran cold and I froze. I couldn't do anything but stare at him. This lasted for what seemed like hours, but was probably 30 seconds to a minute. I finally managed to snap out of it and shook my mom awake, crying hysterically. When I looked back around, he was gone.
The black-eyed child.
That was my first thought too.
I'm scared.
But you have to invite them in, don't you?
I don't know.
I mean, that's the legend. That's
Yeah.
the lore.
I don't
Did
know.
Mom accidentally invite one in one time?
Oh, I don't know.
Of course, my mom didn't believe me, thinking it was a nightmare, but could easily see how shaken up I was. Fast forward a few nights. I was in my mother's bed again, this time calm and ready for bed, but something tickled my thoughts. It told me to check if the boy was anywhere to be seen.
Mm-mm.
As soon as my eyes glanced at the stairway, I met his dead gaze. This went on for literal weeks. As time went on, I stopped crying when I saw him, but kept hiding under the blankets so I would not accidentally meet his gaze. I would wake up from a dream or not be able to sleep at all and see him just staring. He never moved from that spot, never got closer or further. I don't know what made him finally leave, but I was glad to finally be able to sleep in peace again. Thanks for reading this. Can't wait for more videos to come. Sasha.
That made my chest tight. That scared me a lot. What was he waiting on? An invitation?
I don't know. Maybe my first thought was to connect the 2 stories. So like, is he the resident spirit, you know? And when they tried to play with the makeshift Ouija board, he got mad and was like, don't mess with things like that. Don't invite something into my space.
Maybe.
And
My
was like,
space.
hey.
Maybe.
That was my first thought. That's what I formulated on a reading first time. But
I could see that.
I also wonder why he didn't move. Why he was just in the same
Just
spot every night.
watching, but I'm scared. I don't like black-eyed children.
No, I know. As soon as I read the all black pupils or like all black eyes, I knew that would get you when I read
don't
to
know
you.
why. It's literally just ingrained in my psyche that scares me.
Didn't you watch a show on
Yes.
it like when you were little?
It's like real trauma that has stuck
It was
with
literally
me.
chiseled into your brain.
It scared me so bad that even to this day, like my chest is tight. I can't breathe. I'm scared.
I'm so sorry. We'll move on then. Our next one comes from Teddy. Hi, I found your podcast recently and I adore it. Keep up the good work. I have a story from the house I lived in from when I was born to about 3 or 4 years old. I've always been someone who has been into spooky stuff from a young age. It started with Scooby-Doo and eventually on to watching paranormal investigations and even going on some myself with my friends and my mom. I don't know if my spooky phase had started yet at the time of this story though. I don't remember this firsthand. My mom has told me the story multiple times. We believe that my bedroom was haunted, especially the closet. Sorry,
course.
I know this story is like everything you hate in one, but I couldn't resist sharing it.
Can't wait to hear. Thank you.
I was really scared of ghosts. I had a Tinkerbell wall sticker, and at night when the lights were off, the silhouette scared me a lot, which I actually remember.
That
But
is so me. Down to
I
the
know.
Tinkerbell. That is so me.
But I always said there was a ghost in my closet, and it scared me a lot more. Our neighbors came over to get out whatever was in my closet. He went into my closet and said something to banish the ghost that was in there, and when he did this, all the car alarms in the neighborhood parking lot went off all at once. We think it was the old owner of the house who lived there a while before us. Our neighbor then said, "Okay, Teddy, no more ghosts now." Then little toddler me looked over at an empty corner and pointed and said, "What about that little girl over there?"
Oh my God.
Nothing ever really happened again after that, from what I've heard. My mom told me that my room was always really cold though, I think especially near my closet. So that's my story. I love the pod and can't wait to see how it continues. From Teddy.
Thank you.
Creepy kids.
Yeah. What are we
Little
doing?
Scary kids.
Is the theme kids?
No, but it should have been.
My God.
Maybe it is. Maybe there are several themes.
Forgot I was supposed to be looking at a theme.
Halfway through this story, I just felt like I was channeling our listeners and I'm just the conduit to send their stories to you. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I just like, maybe because I read them beforehand.
You're the messenger.
Yeah. Well, without the woo woo. But yes, I like, maybe it's because I read them beforehand. So I already know and I'm watching you react and they're all watching you react. And it's just, I don't know.
It's just me.
I just feel like you're the star of the show.
I'm really not. My God. One day I do need to be. I want to read the listener stories first.
I would like you to.
Give me a couple months.
Okay. To prepare mentally. Our next story comes from Molly. And their subject line was Cursed Land? ?
Ooh, okay.
I am a new listener and I love the pod so much. I travel for work, so I put your podcast on and get spooked at 8 a.m.
Ooh.
My favorite time.
See, a lot of people do that. Scary. I would never. That's too early to be scared.
Well, it gets too late to be scared too.
Listen at lunch. Give it a listen on your lunch break.
A good midday spook.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have a few unexplainable stories that I would love to share. I grew up in a 1940s house in northwest Indiana with lots of wooded areas surrounding the neighborhood. One day, when I was 7 or 8 years old, I was playing Wii Sports with my brother in the living room and I know. And left to grab a snack. I heard something behind me as I turned the corner. When I turned around, there was a figure in the exact same shape and size as my brother, but his face and body were pitch black, and he did not have a face. This figure was so close to my face when I turned around, we were almost touching noses. I screamed, and my brother ran out of the living room and thought I was making it up. To this day, I have no idea what that was or why it decided to show itself at that moment.
It was like their shadow.
Like Peter Pan.
Like on Peter Pan, and you just happen to turn around and catch it.
I hate that it was so close.
Me too.
Like seeing a shadow figure in the distance is one thing, but to literally face to face with one.
Was it following them? But being the same size and shape as the brother, does it have something to do with the brother?
Or the wooded area surrounding?
Indiana has a lot of stuff going on.
Does it?
A lot of true crime. I don't know about ghostly stuff, but a lot of true crime.
That is true. Another strange thing that would happen is I would often see this very tall shadow figure in the corner of the living room in the middle of the night. I was terrified of it. I always felt like it wanted to hurt me and my family. I never mentioned it to anyone until recently I told my brother about what I used to see, only to find out he saw the exact same thing. To this day, when I think about it, my stomach turns.
The fact that they didn't discuss it, but they both knew, or at least this person knew, it's scary. It wants to hurt us. I can't talk about it. Who is it? What is it?
And is it connected to the other shadow figure?
Is it the same shadow figure?
These are the questions. My siblings and I would find arrowheads all the time, so we think Native Americans heavily populated that area. After doing some research, we think there could have been some kind of curse on the land. We moved out of that house when I left for college 4 years ago. Since then, I have not experienced anything like that, thankfully. I have some more stories if you're interested. Thank you for reading this. I hope it makes it on the pod. Spooky wishes, Molly.
Of course we're interested.
We are always interested.
But again, you moved. Send us the address.
I find it interesting that there's possibly a connection to Native Americans. And now, was it cursed by the Native Americans that live there? By a rival tribe?
I would say maybe they were getting their land stolen.
That's exactly what I was thinking, yeah.
As, in American history, they do. And maybe someone was like, oh, you're going to take this land? Well, it's cursed. Good luck. Which honestly, period.
Unleash some kind of dark spirit or spirits
on
the land.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to know more. I wish there was a way. Why isn't there a way to know everything?
We've talked about it. If I die and don't find out everything, I will be very upset.
Agreed. That's like my heaven, is just vast knowledge.
Just knowing everything.
All of the unsolved mysteries.
Every single unsolved case.
Our next story comes from Anonymous, or there was no name at the bottom of the email. So
I love when they do anonymous emails.
Hello, hope this one is spooky enough to be featured in the pod. It was. When I was around 15 to 16 years old, my family and I went to this resort in Mexico near Puerto Vallarta. We stayed in one room for a week and switched to another for the second week. The first room was completely fine and normal, but when we switched rooms, we could tell something wasn't right. One evening, I was sitting by myself on the balcony on a tanning chair just reading a book. Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something sitting in the chair next to me, turning its head to look at me. I often see things out of the corner of my eye and think nothing of it, but this was different. Once it moved, I could make out the figure of a person with long limbs. However, the figure was completely black, except for its glowing white eyes. I turned my head quickly, and nothing was there. But I am positive I saw the figure from the corner of my eye, and saw it turn its head to look at me. I distinctly remember its bright eyes against its dark complexion. I said nothing of this to my family until the end of our week there. At breakfast, near the end of our trip, my dad's girlfriend began telling us she had seen something on the balcony earlier in the week. She described the exact same figure that I had seen, despite us never communicating about it prior. The rest of my family then started saying they felt that something was off in the room. I mentioned my balcony experience as well as some other weird happenings. My dad and his girlfriend at the time stayed in the bedroom while my brother and I slept on the futons in the living room. Close to the futons was a dining table with chairs tucked in. I went to the end of my bed to plug my phone in, and when I moved back, one of the chairs had pulled itself out all the way to my bed without making a noise.
Oh my God.
The amount of fear that I would have in my soul, deep down to my core, of leaning forward and coming back and suddenly the chair is there, I know exactly what I would do too.
Just stare?
Yeah.
Freeze? Do nothing?
Completely frozen, like a block of ice.
For people that aren't watching this, it's just dead silent.
Yeah, sorry. For those of you who aren't watching a video, I was just silent, staring off into space.
With her eyes very big. That's hilarious. No, me too. We're both freezers. It always amazes me in these stories when people are like, this happened and I never told anyone. Y'all wouldn't hear the end of it.
We used to tell each other everything. We still do.
I was going to say we still do.
Yeah, like we don't talk every single day.
You would never hear the end of it. The second I could unfreeze myself from fear,
yeah,
everybody's going to know. I'm going to be like a
lights
newspaper
on,
boy,
everyone
like,
up.
Extra, extra, read all about it. I'm telling everyone. That's insane.
Throughout the night, I would also hear the cabinets opening and closing and what sounded like dishes being dropped, but nothing had moved. I know this can easily be explained away by saying it was the neighbors, but the kitchen and living room where I was sleeping were one big open area, and I could tell the noises were coming from inside. The scariest part of the trip will always be that figure looking at me because of how distinctly I remember the figure and the way it turned. Like, what is that thing and why are you acknowledging me? Still gives me chills. We tried looking into the land and anything that might have happened, but nothing came up. We theorized that some murder may have happened in our second hotel room since the first one was perfectly normal. Anyways, love the pod. Hopefully I'll get to see your reactions to this story.
Well, hello.
I hope it's everything you wanted.
I was thinking the same thing, like, is it someone that was harmed in the hotel room and they're just still there? That's exactly where my mind was going.
That's a really scary thing that I've never really thought about too much before, is you don't know what happened in the room before you.
Yep.
And it's not like the hotel's like, welcome in, we've had 3 murders in the last 10 years. Like,
they wouldn't tell you.
No.
But it happens. Not even just murders, like people pass away in their sleep.
Yeah.
They get sick.
I've heard that happens a lot.
I think about that often. And guess what? I'll be at another hotel this weekend.
Sorry.
In a scary one.
Best of luck, friend.
I'm very excited.
Let us know if anything weird happens.
I'm hoping not.
Bring
I
a Ouija
try.
board.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I try when I stay in a hotel by myself, I just try to stay staring at my phone until I fall asleep because I want to be distracted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just like lay there and be like, all right, time to lock my phone and go to bed. No, I can't.
You do it until you're just out.
I have to like knock out
That's
involuntarily because I'm
sad.
scared.
Our next story comes from Daria. Hi, I have a lot of paranormal unexplained stories, and I'm pretty sure my house is haunted too. I want to tell you a couple of my stories. I am a very sensitive and empathic person, like a lot of people in my family on my mom's side. So I became very aware about spirits and ghosts at a pretty young age. My first paranormal encounter was when I was about 5 years old. My parents went to work and I was staying at my grandma's house. I was probably watching some cartoons when suddenly the doors to her room opened. I was very young, but I vividly remembered that it wasn't like a wind or something. The doorknob moved as if someone was opening it. I looked over and saw the doorknob moving. Then the door swing open, but only halfway and closed. But not slammed. Somebody or something closed them. I ran to my grandma's kitchen after that.
So many doors.
So many doors.
And I'm not liking it. Actually,
I don't ever want to see a door open on its own like that.
me neither.
It's one thing for it to like kind of creak open because you can brush that off. You can say, oh, you know.
But to slam or move rapidly, hate it. Sometimes if I don't shut my bedroom door completely and I'm sitting in the living room, if the AC turns on, it slams it.
Ooh,
Scares
don't
me.
like that.
Scares me
Just a
bad
pressure
every
change?
time. Mm-hmm.
The weirdest one was about 2 years ago. I was laying in my bed scrolling on my phone instead of sleeping. It was like 2 or 3 a.m. Out of nowhere, I heard my vanity drawer open. I stood up and closed it, not thinking much about it. A couple of minutes later, it opened again. So, again, I stood up and closed it. I was halfway to my bed when it opened again. I was freaked out at this point, so I said out loud, "Please leave me alone. You're not welcome here." I thought it was about time to go to sleep. I I went to my bathroom to brush my teeth. My bathroom is on the other side of the house than my room, so I need to pass by the front doors that have a small one-sided window. Oh, and I have to pass by the doors to the attic and basement too.
No.
Very unfortunate placement. When I was walking to the bathroom, I felt this weird sensation that somebody was watching me. I looked out the small window and saw a silhouette of somebody standing in front of my fence, so like 10 to 15 feet away, looking directly at the front doors. I sprinted to the bathroom with my phone flashlight on. On my way back, when everything went back to normal, or at least I thought so, I heard a woman's voice behind me calling my name. I didn't even look back. I sprinted to my room, turned on my lamp near my bed, and stayed up all night till the sun came up. Something about it standing back by the fence ominously, just watching, waiting.
I'm just waiting for it to take off.
Oh, sorry.
I envision, and I know I've said this before probably several times, Sydney Prescott's mom in her dream.
Yeah.
Every time there's like a woman standing outside the window. Yeah, because that still scares me. I don't like that scene in the movie.
Scary.
It's just, where did that come from? Like, the whole movie isn't scary. That's the scariest part of the entire franchise, in my opinion. I can handle a murderous villain, but like a creepy, ghostly woman, it'll get me every time.
I'm glad Daria did not turn around.
Me too.
The last story. It was summer and I was like 12 or 13. I was playing in the forest with my friends, the kids from nearby houses. I was the oldest of the group. We found a hideout spot where we were hanging out a lot at that time. It was in a clearing in the forest with a fallen tree that we made into our bench. We had a thing about survival, don't ask. So we had a lot of survival things in our backpacks, like knives, old dull ones, matches and paper, ropes, etc. There were 2 ways to get there. First was to climb a hill that was a straight way from the road through the forest to our hide spot. Or the second, plain boring way, just to walk up the normal road that turned to the right and then go on a dirt road that nobody was using, so it was overgrown by tall grass. So just imagine a group of kids running through a small forest nearby their houses and playing all sorts of games. Every day when it got late, the younger children returned home. One day, after the young children went home, we stayed and sat on a fallen tree, talking, laughing, and telling stories. I remembered the story that my dad told me. He told me about the house that was at the end of the path I mentioned earlier, and once I went with him so he could show me. The only thing left of this house was the basement and some bricks, so it wasn't very creepy. Just a hole in the ground. No walls, no stairs, no nothing. So my friends and I had the great idea to go there. I said to them that I didn't exactly remember the way, but we could try and find it. We grabbed our stuff and went towards that path. We were walking when suddenly the forest went silent. And if you grow up near a forest area, you know that means nothing good. We stopped in our tracks. Some of my friends pulled out their dull knives and sticks that we had. We were scared that some wild animal would appear, like deer, boar, or fox, but nothing happened. I was about to take one step forward when suddenly, about 1,000 to 1,500 feet away, we heard this blood-curdling man's voice screaming like he was being murdered or something. We looked at each other and sprinted to the beginning of the path. A couple of days later, we went back to our hideout spot. And as always, in the evening, only the older kids stayed. So we thought that we would go again and try to find this house. We were walking, and when we got to the spot, we froze. We realized that the scream that we were hearing the other day was from this exact spot. We split into 2 groups to see if it was possible to hear the scream from such a distance, and it was. To this day, we never went back to that place. Thanks for reading. I have a lot more stories, so maybe I'll send more in sometime. Bye, Daria.
I would never return, first of all.
No,
the
I
bravery.
think I passed. What was it? Was it real? Was it somebody actually getting hurt? Or was it a spirit of the woods saying, like, you don't need to go to this hole in the ground?
Or it was screaming so they would go and try to help. Trying to lure them and see if they would help so then it could snatch them. I don't know. Get them.
Do whatever the things in the woods do.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't like it.
No, me neither.
I can't imagine the fear that would be in your heart from hearing something like that deep
I'm
in the
scared,
woods.
and I'm not even part of it.
Or was this like a mountain lion or a panther or some kind of big cat that makes screaming noises when they do whatever they do?
Could be, but
either way, if it's that too, that like I'm scared.
I mean, that's scary. They specified it sounded like a man. I think personally, the big cats, they sound like a woman screaming. It sounds like I don't know, it just sounds more feminine.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like deep or masculine or like a big man.
I agree.
It sounds like a lady like, ah!
At least the ones I've heard anyway.
Yeah, we've heard.
Our next story is from another Kayla.
Oh my gosh, all the Kaylas.
Hello, my name is Kayla. I am absolutely loving your channel and wanted to tell you my experience that made me believe in the paranormal. Your videos with listener stories are my favorite, but I love every video, honestly.
Thank you.
To start off, I grew up with my grandparents and 2 brothers in a tiny town called Grundy. We lived up in the mountains, and of course, it was the Appalachian Mountains.
Of course it was.
This memory starts when I was around 9 or 10 years old. I was sitting in the living room with my grandparents, just watching TV, when the front door suddenly flew open. And I don't just mean barely opened. It was like it flung open by a person. The wind wasn't even blowing, so I was freaked out because I've seen too many scary movies for someone my age. I looked at my grandmother and she just looked at me and smiled warmly. She said, "Don't worry, that's just my dad saying hi." I looked at her and then she told me to shut the door, so I did. I wasn't freaked out of fear, just shock, I think. Now is a good time to mention our family cemetery that was just up the mountain from our trailer we lived in. I would never go up there because it always made me uneasy because it was kind of tucked in the woods and isolated. This is where my grandma's family is buried. After this experience, I truly believe in ghosts and spirits. I have other stories that my grandparents told me that I can send along if you want, but I will never forget this experience and I don't remember a lot before the age of 12. Thanks for reading.
You know what?
I like that it was grandpa, great-grandpa.
I'm not mad at it. And the fact that the grandma was just like, oh, it's just my dad. It's kind of cute.
All right, our last story. We saved for last. Amanda.
Oh God, I'm scared.
This one freaked me out a lot.
Okay.
I hope it's not underwhelming for you.
Well, I'm locking in. You know I'm scared of everything.
Hi, my name is Amanda. Don't do it.
I won't.
And I love y'all's podcast. Great way to spend my crochet time or when I'm folding my laundry. I have 2 stories for y'all, and these stories are what made me believe in ghosts. You know what? I take back what I said at the beginning. There are a lot of themes.
Okay.
We'll discuss them at the end. When I was about 12, I had this horrific nightmare. I guess you could write this experience off as sleep paralysis, but there are just a few little details that make it feel like it was something more. Let me give you some background info. In my room, all my furniture was antique. To give you an idea of how old it was, my 85-year-old grandmother thrifted it for my mom when my mom was a kid. So pretty old. There was a dresser, a desk, and a mirror. Keep this mirror in mind.
It's already in my mind. The second you said it.
I had always felt somewhat uncomfortable about that mirror, especially at nighttime, because this mirror did face my bed. Well, one night I had a nightmare. I woke up to my room pitch black, so I immediately know something is off because I have a phobia of the dark. I always have a nightlight on. I try to wake myself up from the dream saying, "This isn't real. You can wake up. Just wake up and you won't have to deal with this." I didn't wake up. I was getting frustrated with my brain for not waking up when I noticed a tall, dark, skeletal figure of a woman standing in the corner of my room with long dark hair staring at me. I froze and told myself it wasn't real. I just needed to wake up. Then she started calling out to me, saying my name, whispering, saying I needed to come to her and she's been waiting.
Oh my God.
All kinds of creepy stuff, but I'm still frozen in place. I panicked and continued to tell myself, "Wake up, wake up, wake up," as the darkness around the woman or creature starts to spread around the room, slowly making its way to me. I started crying, telling her, "No, get away. Please just leave me alone. What are you?" She ignored my cries and continued to move closer and closer until I eventually snapped awake back into the real world. I was so shaken up and had tears streaming down my face. I was in full fight or flight mode. I took a deep breath and told myself it wasn't real. It was just a dream. That is, until I heard the whispering. For a solid 10 minutes after I woke up, I heard the voice of whatever was in the nightmare whispering to me,
No.
calling for me, and saying my name over and over again. I was terrified.
So am I.
Now, how does the mirror play into this? Well, after I had that nightmare, a few days later, I decided to rearrange my room. I ended up taking down the mirror and putting it away in my closet, covered up. The moment I did that, any uneasiness I had felt just went away. I had been pretty on edge since that nightmare, and now that was gone. Anytime I go near that mirror, I still get chills. That was a long time ago. Only recently did I hear a faint hello coming from a mirror in my bathroom, but I immediately rebuked it.
No, 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 no.
I want to know, is it the woman?
Yeah.
Or is Amanda just attracting other spirits and the mirrors are just portals? Or is the woman still following her?
I don't know. It feels like maybe the woman, because what are the odds that you hear, or that 2 different mirrors and it's 2 different spirits? Like, what are the odds
calling
of that?
for you?
If I ever woke up from a dream and could still hear the stuff like from the dream, it would feel like Inception. I would be like, am I awake?
Wake
Am
myself
I ever
up.
awake? It would freak me out so bad.
I did not like that one. I'm getting like full body chills over and over again.
I'm freaked out.
This next one's really creepy too.
Oh God. Okay, I forgot there were 2.
Very last story. This is also Amanda's. This is a little shorter than the first. But one day, some of my friends and I got together and watched some horror movies. The house we were at was in the middle of bad cell service. Pitch black nowhere. It was kind of late when we all had to get home, and one of my friends was driving me. We got into his car and started driving down the very long driveway. Naturally, I felt uneasy since I was scared of everything. Of course, this is when I got to see a creature crawl on all 4s across the road in front of the car. I know what coyotes look like. I know what deer look like. And it was too big to be any sort of skunk. I got chills and I said, "Hey, did you see what just ran across the road, like on all 4s? And he said, "No." And I go, "Oh, well, whatever it was, wasn't a deer or a coyote." And before I finished my sentence, he immediately said, "Oh, hell nah," and hit the gas, speeding off. We were flying down these back roads and I was panicking, but also trying to joke around. That's when we saw a lady standing on the side of the road with her dog smiling and waving at us. Keep in mind, it was pitch black outside and she didn't have a flashlight, not even a phone flashlight. I basically started crying at this point and my friend sped up, driving as fast as he could and turned up the music as loud as he could until we reached the main road. We made it safely, but I refuse to ever drive those back roads at night again. Hope y'all enjoy these kind of spooky stories. Love the podcast, and I'm excited to see what y'all do. Amanda.
I do, because it feels so close to home.
I know, I'm imagining like our family's driveway, the long driveway down the long dirt roads and all the back roads. And imagine seeing some lady out there with their dog, no light, pitch black, side of the road.
No.
You know that either one, what you're seeing is not really what you're seeing. Or two,
she's scary.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many theories.
Too.
Is she a ghost? Is she like some kind of spirit? Is she some kind of like ominous thing?
Creature?
Yes.
Is she the thing that was crossing the street?
Oh, I'm gonna throw up. She's crawling across the road. And that'll do it for me today, guys. I'm gonna throw up.
Please
don't. And then she has a dog. And so she's like trying to like, hey guys, maybe they'll pull over.
Thank you, Amanda. Are you glad we ended with the scary one?
I am.
That was really scary. Both of those stories were really scary. All of these stories were really good. Okay, theme time.
Doors. Children. Ghosts. I don't know.
It's like paranormal first times, too.
Oh, it really was.
A lot of them were.
That's really crazy that all these people sent it like one after the other.
I think most of them were on the same day.
We're all connected.
So thank you everyone who sent in their stories and who are continuing to send in our stories. We're getting more emails every day. And every time I get an email, it's excitement. If you have a story that you would like to send in to us, you can email us at ghostiespod@gmail.com. You can also see it in the description down below. If you like this video, please like it, share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so, and subscribe for more. Monday is our New Orleans part 2.
I'm so excited about that.
We're going into some of the things Natalie's more interested in.
Yes.
And it'll be, I want to say less history heavy, but I mean, not really.
You'll see. Just come back and find out.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Ghosteaspod. We post things over there sometimes. We have our teas posted over there too. So if you want to know what tea we're drinking, that'll be over there. And you can maybe order it ahead of time and drink it with us. Other than that, this was a short one, but a good one.
It was a good one. I like it.
And we hope you have a great rest of your day, week, weekend.
Yep. Goodbye.